First of all, I love that song, and what you just did was sacrilegious.
Inside, I'm secretly Susan Sarandon pretending to be in a musical every day. And we're live! You've come into SPSM, the Suicide Prevention Social Media Chat. We're going to be discussing 13 Reasons Why, and we're throwing in a bonus. We're going to be discussing incels, involuntary celibacy.
They have each of the main stars of the show give like a short 45-minute PSA on encouraging people to reach out if they need help or if they're in crisis.
I think it's interesting that all of us old people spend a lot of time talking about the implications of 13 Reasons Why.
I'm not sure how many parents hit print and then sit down in the show with the study guide.
Kids sit down and they gobble up media. So my daughter went through the show, just went through the show and is done, right? Before I was like, oh, you 13 Reasons Why 2 is out. And she's like, yeah, I watched it like the other day. It's like it's a past event for her.
Little song, like a ditty that can intro Bart's rants.
Bart's rants. Bart's rants.
I think our messaging style for targeting youth tends to be really bad.
When you have things like this and they share lifeline numbers or things like that, we know that calls to crisis lines go up, which is great in that more people may get help, but which is not so great in that those places are often, staffed by volunteers and run on donations. And so people don't realize we're straining a system that is not adequately resourced.
The amount of content that's suicide focused and that is much more atrocious and much more graphic and just much more just all those things is everywhere. But this show just got a lot of attention.
Is that there's going to be a lot of people spouting what I would consider to be horseshit about what they think is important about 13 Reasons Why and why we need to do this and why you need to do that, and talk to your children and sit down and go through all this stuff with them. And there's no evidence for that at all.
Shows like 13 Reasons Why allow people to get upset and feel like they're doing something that's really helpful. They can all join in on, 13 Reasons Why is unsafe and it's horrible and it's dangerous. Whether we talk about it or not, whether there's TV shows that reference this content or not, these things are being discussed and playing out in these young folks' lives no matter what.
I want to talk about the Santa Fe shooting that just happened because, of course, and I want to talk a little bit about incels because I actually want to talk about stuff that I think is fairly unsettling.
I can't say that I've ever seen a great intervention for this.
So Incel stands for involuntary celibacy.
It's the conservatives who are saying maybe we should try to understand what's going on here, and it's mostly on the left that are saying these are horrible people and we should just ridicule them and basically debase them.
Some of the recent murder-suicide mass shooting events have been committed by people who identify as incels.
And this group evokes a tremendous amount of loathing from people, loathing that I understand fully.
They encourage violent murder-suicide on social media as a means of expressing their intense pain.
And we have a lot of people that are not connected to anything meaningful in their lives. And we're surprised that we're ending up with these folks going in and shooting schools and doing really wacky stuff.
In certain parts of this community, and not the corners or the edges of this community, but the heart of this community, about murder-suicide as a way of expressing to society that they're tired of being rejected.
Our social equity is becoming lower and lower and lower every year. And there are going to be consequences to this.
To me, the issue is understanding what's driving this behavior and what can we do to help people who are hurting and reduce harm to society in the bargain.